Okay, so Mai has been out now for nearly a week, and as usual, when DLC comes out, my Twitch chat yells at me every 15 seconds. Is Mai strong? Is Mai weak? Is she top tier? Is she bottom tier? Streamer, please validate my opinions, that kind of stuff. So today, I am going to give you guys my thoughts on Mai, her strengths, her weaknesses, what makes her good, what makes her bad, and maybe a little bit of a conclusion at the end. As always, if you like these videos, please hit that subscribe button, and let's get on with the video. Actually, I guess before we get started, I also want to just talk real quick about a bug that was discovered pretty recently. So basically, if you perfect parry Mai's charged fan, it actually lowers your drive gauge. You're meant to get your drive back for perfect parrying projectiles, but they must have goofed somewhere in the coding, and it actually loses you drive gauge if you perfect parry this thing. I'm actually losing about 20% of a bar. It's not a big deal, but I'm pretty sure this is not intended behavior, so I wouldn't be surprised if this gets fixed in future, but just something little to mention up front. Anyway, let's talk about the actual important stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna do this in two halves, basically, just for the structure of this video. I'm gonna start off by talking about all the things about Mai that I think are strong, and then in the second half, I'm gonna talk about all the things that I think are not so strong or concerning at the least for her competitive future. So let's just start with the positives right up front. I think Mai has very good normals, and this is a thing that will tend to fly under the radar because Street Fighter players week one are usually like too focused on flashy combos and stuff. You know, like Street Fighter players love seeing like crazy combos. That's the kind of stuff that gets people's juices flowing. But realistically, what makes a character good in the long term is not the flashy combos, it's normals. It's normals, folks. And I think her normals are actually probably better than Terry's as well. The ones that stand out to me as being particularly good is like Stand Heavy Punch. This thing's really good, huge range. Confirmable if you've got good reactions, special cancelable. This thing's really good. Stand Medium Punch as well, quite similar. This thing you can single hit confirm. It's got quite a big cancel window. Huge range again as well. Very good button. And also the one that I think is actually potentially even more belligerent than those two is Stand Heavy Kick. This thing is crazy. This is one of the most spammable heavies in the game right now because this thing is safe on block, surprisingly. Like, usually these big swinging heavies that give, like, combos on punish counter, usually these things are like -4, -5, Kami notwithstanding. But the fact that this thing is safe, considering how far away this hits from, is wild. And it actually becomes plus in burnout or after a drive rush, which is crazy for how good this button is. And as I said, if you get a random punish counter with this thing, just like fishing in neutral, it's just like a completely free corner carry plus damage juggle. Like, I think you can also convert with no drive at all, like dash jab. So even if you're in burnout, this thing still gives you a good combo. Like, that's pretty privileged, not even needing to drive rush here. This is a very good button. On top of that, she's got, like, the usual stuff that you need to be good in terms of normals. Like, she's got a 6-frame medium, this thing, and 6-frame mediums, as always, are very useful to have because if you don't already know, that gives you a really big punish on drive reversals. She can do basic stuff like that. Punish counter, crouch, medium punch into stand heavy punch. And as always, the last thing to mention about her normals, crouch, medium kick, drive rush. The universal equalizer of Street Fighter 6, in my opinion. Like, you can't really be bad in this game if you've got a decent crouch, medium kick, drive rush. So yeah, very good normals is the first thing to say. The next thing that I think is worth mentioning is this thing right here. The EX Uncharged Fan. This one specifically. So, when I first started trying to, like, learn Mai, I was focused on the full charge, like, multi-fans, like this stuff, which is, like, a lot more flashy and looks really cool. But I actually think the one that's got the most potential to elevate the character is the uncharged one. This thing is just so spammable. Pretty much any time you have the drive gauge to spare it, there's not really any downside to just yeeting this thing. because it just instantly gives Mai such strong control over neutral and the ground. And pretty much as soon as you block it, you're in a mix-up. You know, you can drive rush in behind it for a low, you can go for overhead. If they parry, you can go for throw. Or you can just sort of like walk forward and just see what they do. It really is just amazing in the way that it just kind of puts your opponent in a guessing situation just by chucking out a fireball. Fast startup, low recovery. Very, very good. The reason that I don't think the full charged version is quite as good as I thought it was, by comparison, is this thing is way too parryable. Like when you see Mai doing all this shit and she's like throwing 200 projectiles at you, it's just too simple to just parry it and not really worry too much. Also, the full charge one has 2,000 years of startup, whereas the regular one just like instant. So yeah, this special alone is very, very good. Next trait that I think is, again, a big deal in this game is her corner carry. Is very nice. I would say it's like potentially up there with like Ken's corner carry. She can pretty much corner you off like any basic hit. Like even if you start like in your half of the screen, something like this into a dash sets up the throw loop positioning and then you just go to town. So she can corner you from pretty much anywhere. The only thing that is, I would say, not quite up to Ken standards, the one thing keeping her from being like up there with Ken in the corner carry department is just that she doesn't have a side switch combo that's easily accessible. And speaking of corner carry, as well as the corner carry, as I just mentioned, once you take people to the corner, she has a throw loop. And not just any throw loop, she has a very, very good throw loop. Because there's different tiers of throw loop in this game. Not all throw loops are born equal. She definitely has one of the best. I don't think it's, again, it's not quite the best. I think like Akuma and, you know, like Rashid have slightly better throw loops, because they're even more advantageous after a forward dash. But the nice thing about Mai's is it's just so autopilot. You either just do dash throw, or you just walk back a micro amount. And then you just do whatever. So he's got a very easy to use and very strong throw loop. Definitely a better throw loop than Terry. And I would say the last kind of major strength that I think is her level 2 with fire stocks. And specifically, and this is something that not a lot of people I've seen outside of Japan talking about, modern. So once you get the fire stocks active, her level 2 becomes insane. This is basically like a full screen move with 7 frames of startup. You know, it'll punish projectiles anywhere on reaction. And also, if it drags your opponent to the corner, from like here onwards, you also get a DP at the end as well, just for free bonus damage. This thing is like Kami level 3. I'd say it's even better than Kami level 3. This thing is ludicrously good, and you can punish so many things on reaction with it. Not even just projectiles. Like sometimes you can just whiff punish with this thing. It's so good. Like I was punishing Guile whiffing heavies from full screen with this thing. You do have to spend a bar of super to unlock the upgraded version, but once you have it, I think this fixes so many of her bad matchups, because like the thing that a lot of people have commented on is the fact that her fireball game isn't particularly strong. She struggles against characters like Akuma and Guile just throwing plasma at you. But once she's got the buff active, they just can't throw fireballs anymore. So those, I think, are like Mai's main strengths for now. But now I also want to go to the other half of this talk, and I'm going to talk about the things about Mai which I would say are weaknesses, or at least things that make her a little bit clunky. Like, not necessarily like things that damage her strength, but some of these things are just things that don't feel necessarily satisfying to use, I would say. So I think the first thing I noticed is she's very drive hungry. Like, and this is a property that quite a few characters struggle with. I feel like I was constantly overspending drive with her, because she often needs to use like drive rush cancels to get in. And then she also needs to use drive rush to maintain her pressure. And she also needs to use drive rush for like EX fireball. Then you also need to drive rush behind that. I think she's difficult to manage drive with. You constantly feel like you don't quite have enough drive to do what you want to, I was finding. That was the first observation I had. The second one is her DP. Her DP feels so bad to use. So when I first saw this DP, I was like, holy hell, look at this giant flaming kick she does. She does a huge arcing kick that kicks out fire. This is going to be a great DP, right? And then when I started playing her, I noticed that her DP was constantly whiffing against long distance jumps. And now I know why. Let me show you this. So when she does this big flip, you'll notice that the hitbox is actually only pretty small relative to the animation for most of the time. And even though she summons this huge arcing flame effect around in front of her, there's no hitbox anywhere near that. This is entirely cosmetic. The hitbox is only on her feet, and even then, not quite on the raised foot at the top here. Now, she does gain a big hitbox, like here. In the very late active frames, she suddenly gets a big hitbox, like way up in the air. But the thing is, the vast majority of the time, when you anti-air with a DP in this game, you're going to be anti-airing on, like, these frames. Like, this is where most DP anti-airs happen. These ones here, which I find very unsatisfying to anti-air with. Like, her DP is okay frame-wise, but I don't like moves that just don't look the way you expect them to look. That's just like how it feels to play the character for me, you know? So you see the difference here is that Ken's has a very consistent hitbox throughout. The hitbox on Ken's is very large, and it stays large throughout almost all of the active frames. So that's a very consistent DP, whereas Mai's only gets to be big right at the end. Alright, up next. And this is probably the biggest complaint that I had while I was playing Mai. Fire stocks are fun to use, but for some reason, maybe this was intentional, maybe this was a balancing decision, I don't know. They made it incredibly awkward to combo into level 1 mid-screen. Like, in the corner, it's pretty easy to do, but mid-screen, it is so awkward to combo into level 1 because, like, it doesn't work from almost every common combo ender that you do. So, like, if you do quarter circle back heavy punch, this doesn't work. If you do it from back heavy kick target combo mid-screen, it doesn't work. If you do the light kick target combo, EX dive, it doesn't work. If you do EX tackle into jump medium punch, it doesn't work. If you do 3 lights, it doesn't work. The only reliable way to combo into level 1 mid-screen, really, or the only 2 reliable ways, I should say, is EX Ryuembu into level 1. Which can be difficult to sort of route your combo around because there's not many good ways of, like, going into EX Ryuembu short of, like, a single hit confirm. Otherwise, you have to do, like, this. And if you've already spent a drive rush cancel, you don't really want to spend another EX. So there's that, and then there's the other option, which is that you can just do a drive rush cancel and then just do a normal, so like this. This is probably the most common way to activate level 1. It's just awkward. You have to, it feels like you're fighting against the combo system just to get Mai upgraded to, like, her ideal state. Yeah, that's true actually as well. I forgot to mention that. Even the things that I just said are good ways to combo into level 1 don't even work consistently at distance. So, like, for example, stand medium punch, EX Ryuembu can drop like this, especially if you use this as like a whiff punish. I think crouch medium kick has the same issue. So, like, again, if you do like a max range crouch medium kick, that also drops into EX Ryuembu, so... And, like, these are common situations. This is like a basic footsie situation, and you really don't want to be minus 12 here. When you thought you landed a whiff punish, and now you're minus 12. So, the only, like, it's just, again, it's not necessarily like a character flaw so much as it's just unsatisfying to use. I just don't like the way that feels to use. And I wouldn't be surprised if in future they make this a combo. That seems like a very obvious change. Or maybe you can cancel this into it mid-screen. Also, I guess while we're on the mid-screen level 1 topic, once you finally do get the fire stocks up mid-screen, I also found that you don't get any Oki afterwards. So often you have to spend even more drive on top of the amount that you've already spent just to get back in again. So for example, like, let's say you do something like this and you cut the combo short to level 1. Your opponent actually gets sent to pretty much full screen in this situation, and you don't actually get very good Oki here. Like, I don't think you can even throw. Like, if I do an instant drive rush, I can't get close enough to throw in time. So, as well as having to spend a lot of drive to get level 1 online, you also get horrible Oki afterwards. So, it's a big investment for what doesn't feel like a huge reward to me. So, yeah. That's that. Another thing that I didn't really like about Mai, she doesn't really have any good way of ending jab strings, and this was also a problem that I had with Terry as well. This is a thing that I don't like about a few characters in this game. I think this is a really important character trait to have. So like one of the most common pressure strings in this game is like just doing a jab chain sequence like this. And it's important that you need to be able to like end this string in some way to stop your opponent mashing, because a lot of people in this game, after blocking a few lights, will just wake up with like crouch medium kick drive rush. That's a very common thing in this game. They will block a couple of lights and then they will wake up with a medium or even a heavy. And Mai's options for stopping the mash here are genuinely terrible. As an example, I was playing against a Jamie player, and pretty much every single time I did a jab string against this Jamie player, he woke up with stand heavy punch. And I was like, damn, that's annoying. Let me lab that situation. Like, what can Mai do? Maybe what I can do is I can do light Ryu Embu. That seems like a good option, right? No, too slow. Doesn't beat 5-frame fierce. Okay, how about Fireball? No, doesn't beat stand fierce. Does she even have any other specials that you can use here that are like safe? I can't even think of anything else that would be useful in this situation. But yeah, not having a good way of stopping your opponent mashing after a light is very annoying in this game. As an example of a character who does have a good option here, let me show the other end of the spectrum, just to give you guys an idea. On the other hand, if you want to mash against Ryu, Light Hashogeki not only will blow up your opponent for mashing, you also get a full combo out of it, you know? And Mai does not have that, so that stuck out to me. Okay, next thing I didn't like about Mai is I don't like having to neuter my own combos because my opponent is crouching. She has kind of an issue with that. Her main combo goes via this thing, Heavy Ryu Embu, and this whiffs on crouches, and this can cause a lot of problems. And before you say it, before you yell at me, yes, I do know that back heavy kick forces stand on hit. I do know that you can do stuff like this to force stand, which is nice in some situations, but it also causes problems in others, particularly whiff punishing. Like, let's say I'm playing footsies with a Jamie player like this. Now, the problem that I have with this is that if I want to get a good combo out of this whiff punish, and I don't want to spend 3 bars of drive, what options do I have? Genuinely, like, what options do I have? Short of doing a drive rush cancel into back heavy kick, is there, like, any good option here? Like, I guess that's about the best you can get. A lot of the time I had to just, like, settle for shortening combos and just go straight to this, which feels pretty bad considering that I started with a punish counter and all I get is, like, normal to special. It doesn't, again, it's not like a character weakness necessarily, it's just, it made her not so fun to play. That's kind of where I'm going with this. It's just a kind of annoyance more than anything. Anyway, okay, my final sort of thing that I would mention as a negative about Mai is that I feel like a lot of her set play that people are posting right now in like highlight reels and stuff, it feels very gimmicky to me. Like, this is maybe a bit subjective, particularly with the stuff to do with EX charged fireball, especially in the corner. Like, I've seen a lot of people talk about, like, the potential of things like this. And then going for, like, a high-low. I don't think it's that good. Outside of Burnout, at least, I don't think it's that good because, first of all, to do this mix-up, you need to spend EX. Second of all, you need to just stand in the opponent's face charging fireballs. And that basically means that any character with an EX DP, as soon as they see you charging EX fireball on your wake up, they're just going to wake up EX DP, and there's not really anything you can do as a my player to like stop that. Like if they see you charging in their face, they're just going to wake up reversal every single time. And the other thing is, even if you don't have an EX DP, you can just parry or drive reversal. Like this doesn't feel like it's that good of a mix-up to me because it's kind of parry bait. This reminds me a lot of early Rashid. Like when Rashid first came out, you don't really see this much anymore. Like the week 1 Rashid meta, everyone was talking about charged fireball as a meaty. Like everyone was super focused on hang on. Setups like this, where you do full charge fireball as a meaty to give yourself plus frames. This was like the week 1 Rashid Oki. But no one really does these anymore because it turns out that charging a move in your opponent's face for 300 frames is just a free DP or a free reversal or a free parry. And after a while, people realized that actually it's much better for Rashid to just like throw or press a plus on block medium. Like basic strike throw pressure in this game is a lot stronger than like fancy Oki stuff. The best mix-up in Street Fighter 6 is not to have, like, a 200-frame fireball. It's to just throw shimmy, I'm afraid. Yeah, so I feel like a lot of her set play that looks very flashy week 1 is kind of going to fall off over time, in my opinion. So, that's my thoughts on Mai, basically. That's the good and the bad. As like an overall summary, I definitely don't think she's top tier. I guess I'll say that right off the bat. I don't think she has what it takes to be, like, you know, up there with... you know, Akuma and Rashid and Ken and stuff. And she feels like she could do with a bit of polishing just to make things flow a bit better in her game plan. But on the other hand, it's basically impossible for her to be bad as well because she has standard Street Fighter 6 things like she can do crouch medium kick drive rush, she has a good throw loop, and she has good corner carry. So like, it's impossible to be ass as a character when you have the usual Street Fighter 6 properties. EXDP as well, yeah. But I don't think she's got the source you need to be a top threat. I think what it is for me is that, like, she feels like you have to jump through a bunch of awkward hoops just to unlock a power level that, like, most of the strongest characters in this game have from round start. It's kind of the Jamie effect, I guess. That's a good point of comparison. You're just working really hard to unlock a character that becomes as good as the actually strong characters. But yes, I just feel like you have to work too hard to get to limited results. But again, she's not bad. I think she's just kind of mid. Similar position to Terry, somewhere in the middle. But that's just my opinion, you know. Please feel free to scream at me if you think I've got it all wrong or if I've missed something important. Let me know down in the comments. And I will see you guys all in the next video.